Welcome back to the Saints and Alumni Show right here on WBCR 88.3 The Saint. I'm your host this week, Brandon Murphy from the class of 2017 and the Office of Alumni Engagement here at Siena College. And this week I am joined by Kayla Campana from the class of 2018 and Austin Crisafulli from the class of 2019, one of our featured Siena Sweetheart stories this year for Valentine's Day. Today we're talking about their Siena story, their Siena Sweetheart story, and life since Siena. I think we have a big announcement to share with everybody kind of towards the second segment of today's show. A reminder to everyone listening today that there's a few ways to listen to the podcast, a bi-weekly show featuring our Siena Saints. You can listen here on WBCR 88.3 The Saint, Apple and Spotify podcasts, iHeartRadio, and you can subscribe to the Siena Alumni YouTube channel to check out the complete selection of shows. It's not every episode that we get to have two guests on at once and hear a great Siena story. And it's definitely not every episode where we get a couple on that met at Siena and has this amazing love story to share with the Siena community. So to both Kayla and to Austin, happy belated Valentine's Day to you both, to everyone listening today, and officially welcome to the show. How was Valentine's Day? How's your week been going, Kayla?
It's been good. Yeah, we had a good Valentine's Day. We live in New Jersey now. We ordered some local Dominican food and it was really good.
And Austin, things are going well for you too. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, things are going good.
And today, as I said, we have the opportunity to hear a unique Siena story. Our office always loved this time of year when we send out the call for Siena Sweetheart admissions in e-news and on social media. I'm always interested to see who's getting engaged, who's getting married, who's still together, and obviously some of the great photos that come with that. You both had some amazing photos that you submitted at Sarah Manor, and it's really great to have you both on the show today. And we always do this as a tradition. We want our listeners to kind of get to know the guests that we have on the show. And it's also pretty obvious that you two probably would not have met if you didn't end up at Siena College. So I want to take the clocks back a little bit to about 2013, 2015, and talk about the college decision-making process. I'll begin with you, Kayla. You're from downstate, I believe. When did you first hear about Siena? Did you ever visit Siena? And kind of what was that deciding factor that got you to be a Siena Saint?
Yeah, so I didn't know much about it. I knew like a couple teachers at my high school had gone there, so I heard the name. I was kind of looking for colleges within a 2-hour radius of my hometown, but didn't really know anything about the Loudonville, Albany area, nothing about Siena, but I saw it was within 2 hours, so I went to visit. I visited the fall of my senior year in high school, and I really liked it, but I was still looking at other places, wasn't sold on it, and then I went and visited again in April in the spring, right before deciding. And I think that moment, for some reason, just kind of sold it for me. I was on campus, I could see myself there. Everyone was so friendly. It felt like a community right away. And the campus is just so much more homey than other campuses I visited. So that's kind of when I made my decision.
That was the one thing I loved about Siena was everything was kind of on one side of the street. I didn't have to cross any city streets. I didn't have to take a bus. Everything felt like I was on my own property with my Siena family. And I was glad that you mentioned, looking for, a 2-hour drive to campus. I grew up in Utica, just a 90-minute drive. So I could go home on the weekends. I could have family come and visit me on long weekends. And for you, Austin, it was a little bit different, right? You're a local kid in high school, so you probably knew of Siena pretty well. So when did you first learn about Siena? Did you always know you wanted to stay local and attend Siena? And kind of what was that deciding factor to get you to be a Siena Saint?
Yeah, so I grew up right in Colony, New York, and I actually didn't know of Siena when I was in high school. I didn't know that it was a 10-minute drive from me, and my mom made me go there because she didn't go there, but she had a lot of friends that went there, so she was always on campus there. But I went there and I attended one of the the student days there, and
one of the accepted student days that we have on campus.
Yeah, and I was initially turned off by it the first time I was there, and I was looking at other schools, and I did really like the campus. I did really like how everything was very close, and liked that there was a lot of nature on campus. But I didn't know if it was for me, and I was doing computer science, so I initially didn't think that was the right fit for me, and then I went back a second time, and that's where I made the decision that I wanted to go to Siena.
And I love that you mentioned it kind of has all this nature feel to it. One of the videographers on campus, Dave Etzler, mentions, it looks like a state park here on campus with all the trees and the walkways that we have. And that's one of the great things about Siena. And the other thing is the education for a lifetime, continuing to educate the mind, body, and spirit. And education inside the classroom is just as important as education outside of the classroom. So Kayla, first for you, for the listeners today, what did you major in? What was maybe one or two of your favorite classes? And was there either a professor that you had a great relationship with, a friar, or another community member that you kind of stayed close with throughout your time at Siena?
Yeah, so I was a psychology major, and so most of my classes are around psychology, other than we take our core classes as a liberal arts school. I would say a couple classes that stand out to me are that so one, in the psychology department, you could take an internship course. So I did an internship, and you could kind of choose an area of psychology that you were either considering or just interested in. So for me, I was interested in school psychology, and so I was able to do an unpaid internship in a school. But then in addition to that, there was a class that we had with Kristen Miller. She was the professor, and
she was the best.
Yeah, I love her. I still catch up with her every now and then. But so the class is really good because it kind of set me up for grad school, almost, in the sense that it was all students who were doing the internship program, but we could all come together kind of in a supervision setting, and everyone would talk about their experiences and their different internship sites. So even though I was in a school, I could hear from other people's experiences in different areas of psychology. So I thought that was really helpful just in kind of finishing my undergrad experience and thinking about what to do next. But then another class that stands out to me is that I minored in sociology. And so I took a sociology class with Paul Murray on the civil rights movement. And it was, when you said Siena's education for a lifetime, it really spoke to that, because he, all our classes were him inviting in guest speakers who had either researched a lot or been a part of the civil rights movement. And so that was an experience I felt like I wouldn't have gotten at many other schools, that he had all these connections to people who were actually a part of the movement, could give their real life experiences in order to kind of provide us with the education of how that time was in history. So.
And you talk a lot about, the connection making and the different type of networking opportunities at Siena. And for you, Austin, you were a local kid, but did you decide to live on campus and get involved at Siena, networking, connections? What were some of your favorite classes and a professor or two that kind of stood out to you?
Yeah, so I was actually a commuter student for my first 2.5 years there. And then I decided to move on campus so that I would be able to live in a townhouse senior year. But I would say that I connected on campus very quickly. I made a group of friends very quickly, and I was with them a lot. And in terms of some of the classes that I took, there were some cybersecurity classes that were offered in the computer science department, and they were taught by Professor Armitage, and he was a great mentor for me, not only in cybersecurity but just in life in general. And then I also took discrete math, which was taught by Professor Jim Matthews, and he was very funny, and he always made the class very interesting, and he dressed up as a leprechaun one time.
I love that.
Yeah, he always had these very funny problems that we had to solve. So these very unique problems that we had to solve. So yeah, those were definitely some memorable classes.
So we've got about 3 minutes left before we got to cut to a commercial break. So what I want to do is talk a little bit about outside of the classroom experiences, prior to, the outside of experience of when you two are meeting, and we'll kind of pivot to that in the second segment. So as I said, education for a lifetime, just as important as outside the classroom. To you, Kayla, was there a club, an organization, a community event that you attended that positively impacted your Siena experience?
Yeah, I would say for sure the mentoring club. I joined that the second semester of my freshman year with Father Sean. That's kind of how I made a strong connection with Father Sean there as well throughout my time at Siena. But it was just so amazing to be able to work with the kids who would come to Siena's campus every Saturday to just do fun activities. They really found like trusting relationships with us Siena students. And so that was definitely the highlight of my Siena career.
We've actually had a few alumni on the podcast, and they have mentioned the mentoring club a few times. And I know that's a very popular club on campus and a really great turnout for people at the club fair to sign up for that club. And then for you, Austin, you were a commuter student, you came onto campus. Did you attend that club fair? Did you sign up for any particular clubs, organizations, and community events that impacted your Siena experience?
Yeah, I attended the club fair every year, and I joined a gaming club, which was a lot of fun. Some of the first friends I made were in gaming club, so I would always go there with them, and it was a great club to just de-stress from all the college work and college life and just have fun. And then I also played ultimate frisbee, so freshman year to senior year, so that was a lot of fun too. And then volunteering on campus as well. There were different clubs that did that as well. Yeah. We
could go on and on and on about clubs, organizations, service trips at Siena. Everybody has their own unique Siena story when it comes involved to that Franciscan spirit. But it's Valentine's Day week. I know our listeners are eager to learn about your Siena sweetheart story. So after commercial break, we're going to come back, talk about how you two met at Siena and life since graduation. Stay with us. We'll be right back here on WBCR 88.3 The Saint. Welcome back to the Saints and Alumni Show right here on WBCR 88.3 The Saint. I'm your host this week, Brandon Murphy, class of 2017 from the Alumni Engagement Office. And this week, I am joined by Kayla Campana from the class of 2018 and Austin Crisafulli from the class of 2019. One of our featured Siena Sweetheart stories this year for Valentine's Day. We just wrapped up talking about their Siena experience academically and outside of the classroom. But there was one topic we didn't talk about outside the classroom, and that was how you two met at Siena. So I want to give our listeners a chance to hear that story on how you two met. So I'll begin with you, Kayla. Did you know Austin as a freshman and a sophomore? How did you guys first meet? Was there an event? Was it, in the dining hall, you just went up to his table? Kind of what was that like for you guys?
Yeah, so I didn't really know him until spring semester freshman year, but we had like a lot of mutual friends. Like Austin mentioned gaming club, like he had a lot of friends from gaming club, and I had some friends who were in gaming club that like I would hang out with occasionally, but Austin for some reason was never there when I was hanging out with them, and then he would be with them, but I wasn't there when he was with them. But then one day, one of those friends invited me and another friend to computer science trivia, and we were hesitant to go. I'm not a computer science major, but we ended up going. And it was fun. So we kept going a couple times, it was once a month. And then one of those, Austin happened to be there, and we met. We didn't really chat too much that day, but we both kind of knew of each other then. And then our friends kind of set us up and started hanging out more and talking, and then started dating. So yeah. And then for you, Austin, did you always see Kayla in the dining hall and you're like, who is this woman? Did you just meet her for the first time at that gaming club? And for both of you, kind of what was that spark that kind of let you guys pursue that relationship here at Siena?
Yeah, I didn't really see her too much around campus, but then my friend had mentioned her, and I was like, oh, I do recognize her a little bit. I must have seen her around campus, but not enough to engage with her or anything like that. But yeah, that's how we hit it off. Computer science trivia.
See, I should have attended more events on campus as a student. Then clearly, all these success stories that we hear. So you guys meet early on in your college career. Austin, you live locally during the summertime. Kayla, you're living downstate. How did your relationship progress? Were you guys able to see each other during the summertime? Did you guys live next to each other in the townhouses? Kind of how did that relationship grow through the years, Kayla?
Yeah, so actually the summer after we started dating, I ended up being up there in the summer because I worked the mentoring program summer camp. So we were able to see each other a lot. Then I studied abroad that fall, so we were kind of long distance, but we were still talking all the time and worked through that. But then once I kind of got back to campus, Austin was a commuter, but then he ended up moving on campus pretty soon after. So pretty soon he became pretty close to like all me and my friends, and we would all hang out all the time. I ended up graduating early, so I didn't live in a townhouse when it was Austin's senior year, but I still lived in Albany, so I felt like I was like kind of a secondhand Siena student because I was still on campus, so nobody really knew I graduated, but I was always there, so yeah.
And before we get to present day, for the listeners watching today, I think we can show the present day announcement in a minute, but there was obviously some time that has, elapsed from commencement to present day. So I'll go back to you, Kayla. You're originally from downstate. You and Austin both decided to make a move down to New Jersey. Can you share a little bit about your, path since commencement, what you're up to nowadays, where you live, and how Siena prepared you for the current role and position that you're in right now?
Sure. So after graduation, I went straight to grad school. So I'm still in grad school. I'm in my last year. I'm going for my doctorate in school psychology. So it's a 5-year program. So I've been there since leaving Siena. But we moved down to Jersey because I'm in my internship year. So I'm doing a full-time internship at an agency for children in foster care. But then after this, I plan to look for a job in school psychology as a school psychologist in an elementary school. Yeah.
And Austin, maybe you're used to Kayla being up here during the summertime. So you also decided to make a move down to New Jersey with Kayla. Was that for a job? Was that just to, live down with Kayla? So what are you up to nowadays, your current role, and how did Siena prepare you for, this moment in your life?
Right. So after graduation in 2019, I was still living at home, and I had accepted a position with New York State doing cybersecurity work for them. And then we decided to move in together in Albany, and we were living together for the past 2 years. And then when Kayla found out about her internship and she wanted to move to New Jersey, I came with her, and so this is our 3rd year living with each other, and she survived.
That's great.
I was started applying to other positions, and I now work for Prudential Financial, which is based out of Newark, New Jersey, and I do cybersecurity work for them as well. And I am completely remote, so I work from home, and my commute is 30 seconds.
You never have to hit any traffic.
Yeah.
So Siena prepares a lot of people for a lot of things in life, but I don't know if they necessarily prepare a fiance to get down on one knee and propose to the love of their life. So for you, Austin, did you know you always wanted to propose at Siena? Did you know you wanted to do it at Sarah Manor? Or was that just a moment that like, okay, we're here at Sarah Manor, it's got to happen? Kind of what was that process like for you to get down on one knee?
So I knew that I wanted to propose to her before the year ended last year, and it happened to be in the fall. And I wanted it to be somewhere memorable, and I had a few options. I was considering Lake Placid because we always go up to Lake Placid a lot to hike and stay up and make long weekend trips out of it. And then I found a photographer that was in the Albany area, and I decided to go with Siena, and I didn't know where I was going to do it on Siena. And the day of, our photographer went to the campus to scope it out to find a good area to do it. And we had gotten a puppy this past August, and I convinced Kayla that we could go to Siena to take puppy pictures, which is not a thing, I guess. But I convinced her. So yeah, so some of the photos include our dog Zola.
You know, Austin, I want to back you up on this because my older brother, older brother Murph, got married in August. He proposed to his wife last June on the 1 year anniversary of them getting a dog. And Murph was like, "We need to go take sunset photos at Siena." It was June. It was 95 degrees, and Murph was in a rain jacket because he had to hide the ring. And Aaron's like, "Why on earth do you have a rain jacket on when it's 95 in June? And there's literally no clouds in the sky." So for you, Kayla, what was going through your mind? You know, you're taking all these photos, and then he gets down on one knee. And then what was that moment like next after you said yes? Who did you call, and how did you celebrate with your fiance, Austin?
So I was kind of confused. I was like, why is he so set on like taking puppy pictures? He initially wanted to take them in August, like right when we got our puppy, and I kind of shut that down. I was like, no, like it's gonna be too much. I'm gonna be stressed because we're just getting a dog. So I gave in like for the fall. And then I kind of suspected like something was going on, but I went with it, and it was like a perfect moment though. He picked the perfect spot. Afterwards we ended up celebrating with his family, and then once we were back downstate, we celebrated with my family, but I was already like calling and FaceTiming like friends from Siena and my family. So kind of telling all the important people right away, but then we were kind of celebrating on our own for a little bit before announcing it to other people.
And then you propose at Siena, Austin. And obviously the next step is to plan a wedding. Can you share a little bit of the insight on the planning details, Austin? Do you guys want to get married back here at Siena at the Chapel or the Grotto? Are you guys getting married in New Jersey? How is all that process going for both of you?
Yeah, so we're gonna get married at the Grotto at Siena. We have our date and everything. We're ahead of schedule in terms of planning, and we really just wanted to get our date and venue in because we know that 2024 is filling up fast already. So.
Mm-hmm. And Father Dennis is officiating our wedding, so yeah. Still making it part of the Siena community.
And then for you, Kayla, and then also for you too, Austin, is your bridal parties, are they a lot of Siena people? Are they people from back home, family, friends? Colors of the bride's dresses for you, Kayla, ties for you, Austin. Kind of what are some of the fun themes and stuff that you guys are planning around that wedding?
Yeah, we have a mix of people. We have some Siena friends, I have some childhood friends, and then like cousins and siblings. So we have like a mix of family and then close friends from college. Colors, we're thinking like lavender and navy blue because it's a summer wedding. Yeah, not so much sure on like themes or anything like that. Still early in our planning, but we're getting married at Siena. Our reception's up in Saratoga. I feel like
must be beautiful.
Fun area. So yeah, it should be fun.
And you guys both have this great, unique Siena story. You know, you found the love of your life at Siena. You had a great education, and it seems from the story today that you guys had a really great outside the classroom experience too, with mentoring, with service, with gaming club, and all that Siena has to offer. So we've got about 90 seconds left. So I'll first give it to you, Austin. Aside from finding the love of your life, if there is either a prospective student listening today with their alumni family, or maybe that somebody that wants to transfer into Siena, why is Siena so special to you, and why should somebody come to Siena?
I think it's a close-knit community, and there's a lot of diverse backgrounds, and we're all accepting of each other. And I think, depending on what major you go into, I was computer science. I think the computer science faculty are phenomenal. And then on the club side of it, I think there's so many different clubs and so many different opportunities, and the campus is just a beautiful campus.
And then with you, Kayla, we got about 30 seconds left in the show today. Why was Siena such a unique and special place to you?
I think no matter what you're interested in, no matter what your background is, you'll find the group of friends that are going to be your lifelong friends. Everyone at Siena is supportive of you no matter what you're going into. They're supportive after you graduate. So I think it's just kind of forms you a lifelong community.
To Kayla and to Austin, congratulations on the engagement. We're so excited to see some of the wedding photos in next year's Siena Sweetheart Collage. Yeah. Congratulations. To everyone listening today, thank you. We'll see you next time right here on WVCR 88.3 The Saint.